Thank you for tuning into another newly listed on the CSE clip. I'm Anil Mall. I represent the Canadian Securities Exchange, and I am talking to James Walker. James Walker is the CEO of ARS Strategic Mining, Inc. Of course, it's just listed on the CSE. So, James, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. How are you?
I'm not doing too badly. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm actually very curious about the company. So let's jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about ARS Strategic Mining. What is this company all about?
So we have the only permitted fluorspar mine in the whole of the United States, and we're in the process of putting it into production at the moment. We bought plant equipment and we bought steel structures, and the plan is for early installation next year, and then going as quickly as we can into production, and being the only producer in the United States with the intention of trying to supply the country with 10% of its fluorspar demands. And really, I think the long-term goal is to try and keep the monopoly on that country. So that's the plan.
For people that might not know, or our audience members that might not know, tell us a little bit more about fluorspar.
Yeah, no one's ever heard of fluorspar, but it's one of the most ubiquitously used industrial minerals. So it's used in the manufacture of steel, aluminum, hydrofluoric acid, fluorine, cement, lithium-ion batteries. It's used in the glass industry, the ceramics industry. What else would be smartphones? If you've ever wondered why you can touch your smartphone and not leave streaks like you would do on glass, that's the fluorspar in your phone. It's a very in-demand industrial mineral.
I have to ask that question just because, we've seen over the last little while a big shift where a lot of new investors are coming to market. And I just wanted to make sure that we are talking a little bit about, the advantages and how necessary fluorspar is.
Well, it's a very necessary mineral, but I think as gradually as America sort of shipped its industry overseas, they sort of lost this industry, but they still require enormous amounts of it. But the country has to import 100% of this from abroad at the moment. And so, there's a big opportunity there to get in and be the only one, manufacturing this stuff.
So what was the strategy behind taking ARS Strategic Mining the public route?
Well, the public route always gives you access to the equity markets and raising finances like that. I mean, that's the obvious one too. But if you're trying to raise something in a private company to do this sort of thing, it is possible, but you would need a tremendous amount of work done on this. And this project had only been mined artisanally before, so the only data was historic production data. When you're in that sort of environment, you can attract the equity by getting early investors because they can see the potential upside. And that was really the idea behind it being public.
I might have missed this earlier. What region is your project in?
Oh, Utah.
It's in Utah. Okay. Now, talk to us a little bit about your background, James. How did you get into this space?
But my background, my first degree was mechanical engineering, and my master's was in mining engineering. And the intention was always to go into mining engineering directly after that master's, but I ended up serving in the army, the British Army, and that meant I wasn't allowed to leave the United Kingdom. And so I had to complete, there was no real big mining jobs in the United Kingdom that I could do alongside of the military role. And so I took a job as a mechanical engineer for the government, as well as being alongside a reservist soldier. And I got my start in the government as the mechanical engineer, and I progressed to a nuclear engineer, and then I did a second master's in nuclear physics and engineering. I was seconded to Rolls-Royce, where I worked in nuclear reactor design and plant construction, and then I transferred back to the Ministry of Defense, where I designed big infrastructure projects such as nuclear waste reclamation plants, and I was the lead manager for constructing those sort of facilities. I finally did leave the military after a 6-year service, and I decided I didn't want to work for the government anymore building nuclear facilities. So I moved over to Canada with the intention of taking a job up in Yellowknife, in the diamond mine. But as I moved there, the job I had up there well, the company downsized and moved its head office to Calgary. The job I was going to take didn't exist anymore. So I took a job doing project management work for mining companies down in Vancouver, lithium companies, silver companies, things like that. And I then took over this vehicle where I became the CEO, and then I went hunting for projects that were near-term cash flow and didn't require huge capex, and that's where we are now.
Are there any strategic team members that you've brought on board to help move this company and project forward?
Oh, I mean, there've been several. So, I mean, notable additions were Raul Sanabria. He was a geologist at Europe's largest fluorspar operation in Spain, and so he was key for one, assessing the project, and making sure it was viable or looked potentially economic. And so we brought him on as the VP of exploration. He's also director of the company. And the other strategic connection we made was that we partnered with a fluorspar producing company out of Asia. They have large fluorspar mines in Thailand and Laos, and they brought an enormous amount of expertise through that partnership to ARS that help with metallurgy, such as the reagents that we would use, float designs. And we brought the chairman of that company, the Mujim Group, onto the ARS board as well. And so they sit as a strategic advisor to ARS. And then that connection as well, they were instrumental in helping supply large industrial facilities to us to help with the production of fluorspar in Utah.
Obviously, you're not your typical gold, silver, copper, lithium mining company, but what differentiates ARS Strategic Mining from some of your peers that are after the same sort of resource?
Well, I don't know if anyone's after the same resource as us at the moment. I mean, the advantage we have is that if people want to get into fluorspar, then they have to start from scratch and build up the metallurgy from nothing. So we don't actually in the United States have any competitors at the moment. So that's obviously a big plus in our favor. As far as comparing ourselves with other juniors, I would imagine there's probably more blue sky potential in the long run, just because we have the whole country open to us, as well as I think I'm pretty confident we've obtained best fluorspar prospect in the whole of Canada as well, because once we got into fluorspar, we realized that there were enormous amounts of projects in Canada as well, and we found a company with a historic resource of, I think it was 6 million tons of high-grade fluorspar, and that's just on the west coast of Canada. And once we get Utah going, then we'll have that operation. We'll get that going too, and we'll have. I wouldn't say we'll control the North American market, but we'll be a major instrumental part of it.
Of course. So great positioning, obviously. Now, are there any milestones that you're able to talk about and that our viewers and investors can then look out for in the coming weeks and months?
Well, the big one I think at the moment that everyone's waiting for is the plant arrival, because we actually tried to ship that thing, and then we bumped into the global shipping crisis. And we didn't want to incur all the fees of just being sat at port. So obviously the plant shipping and the plant delivery, the installation of the plant, the commencement of the mine construction works, which is designed to coincide with that plant installation. There's going to be a few acquisitions probably in the fluorspar market, so it's probably worth looking out for as well. And there'll probably be a second plant arriving at the Utah site later this year. Later in 2022, a flotation plant just to complement the existing one that's going to be there already. And so those are the big milestones, really, just taking us from where we are at the moment, where we've done all the legwork, we've done all the metallurgy, mineralogy, drilling, geophysics, assaying, operations design, and now it's just going from that step from a exploration development company into a mining company.
Well said. Now, I'm sure, just like myself, our viewers will want to go read up more on your company, your team, fluorspar itself. And so where would you direct our audience to go to find out about your company, your team, and then, hopefully sign up for your press releases so they can keep up with your successes?
Well, I imagine the website might be the best place to start. I mean, on there you've got a recently updated 43101. If anyone's interested in having a look at that too, and you can sign up for the mailing list through that website as well. And there should be a decent amount of information and links to previous press releases, bit more detail about the projects, I think I've never actually been on them, but I think we've got an Instagram and a Facebook page, and so they can access through there. Our social media rep puts all my stuff up on there as well, and so going up there, you have access to all the past videos and investor presentations and all that sort of stuff.
Perfect. Well, we will be sharing this on our CSE socials as well, so we'll make sure that Aries Strategic is definitely tagged in it, so people, our audience members, can be directed to your social media sites also, along with your website. But thank you so much for taking the time today to join myself and not only educate me, but some of our viewers as well about your company, your background, your team, and what Aries Strategic Mining has in store in the coming weeks and months. I'm Anil Mall with the Canadian Securities Exchange. You've been listening to Mr. James Walker. James is the CEO of Aries Strategic Mining, Inc. Of course, it's listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange. Thank you for tuning in to another newly listed on the CSE. Please feel free to hit like and share this content, and hit subscribe if you haven't already.